Next, I want to discuss where each font type is stored, as well as the configuration variables that need to be defined in order for these fonts to be loaded in the workspace. So here I have a table listing the different configuration variables for fonts, and as I go through these, I'm going to try to locate them inside of Windows Explorer. So the first variable is going to specify the directory with the default fonts that are going to be delivered by MicroStation, or in this case it's going to be OpenRoads. So I'm inside of Program Files looking at OpenRoads Designer, and if I go into Fonts, which is going to be under the default folder, this is going to be the list of font files that can be loaded. Now the next variable, MS Font Path, is going to specify a list of directories that are searched to locate fonts. And then here we have the default value for that. So if I look at where this variable is first defined, this is going to be part of the configuration files that get loaded when you open up OpenRoads. So this is going to be under the System folder, and this particular one, I already have them open. I do have a list of them here, and it's not all of them, there's just a handful that have the font variables defined in them. But we have the MS-dir-cfg file. This is where MS Font Path is being defined. And we see it has a comment just explaining that this is the path to search for font files. Then inside msfiles.cfg, this is where the MS Font Config file variable is being defined, which is telling OpenRoads where to find this XML file. And I also have this file open already, and so if I open up this file, all this file is really doing is setting the default font types for the different languages. And then another variable that we have is the msrt config. So that's under mslocal.cfg, and if I go back to my table, this is going to be the variable that specifies the location for entering text. This has implications for font substitution as well as how character layout or reordering is performed. The variables that I've talked about so far, these are already being defined in the system configuration files, and you should not have to edit those. But there are some variables that you would want to edit inside of the organization civil configuration file. So here I have the XYZ Consultant CFG file, and one of the variables that you might want to edit is the MS Font Path variable. So it's already defined here, telling it to, instead of just looking in the program files location for any type of font files, also go and look in the fonts folder inside of the organization civil standards folder. So if I open up Windows Explorer and take a look at Organization Civil, this is going to be inside of the Fonts folder. And this is going to be the location where you could add to. If you would like to have these in a different location, you can just add another line, including this variable, and then use the append symbol to tell the path of where the other location should be loaded. So in this location, this is where you can add in additional TrueType fonts files for that, and you can also add in resource files or the SHX files. Now if I bring the table back up, we have these last two variables down here. So the MS symbol resource variable is going to be referring to the resource files. So this is going to be a variable that you can set to tell OpenRoads to go look at this path and find the resource files in addition to the font path variable. And then in a similar way, we have the MSDWG font path variable, which is going to allow you to define where those SHX files are going to be located. Now with the TrueType fonts, these are normally going to be installed on a system level, and they're also going to be found inside of your Windows Fonts directory. You're going to have to be an administrator on your computer to install TrueType fonts at this level. But you do have the option to append search paths using that MS Font Path configuration variable so that you can maybe go and install additional TrueType fonts and include them as part of your workspace.